Hello, how's it going, people? Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hope everyone's having fantastic. Well, what today is even Saturday. Everyone's feeling great and good. Arsenal are not playing. They have time off till Champions League kicks off next week because, well, we are not in the FA Cup, so that is going fun. But yeah, the stuff surrounding Arsenal, comments, news surrounding Arsenal, of course, don't stop. Arsenal legend Emmanuel Petit, also Bakary Sagna, both have spoken on Arsenal. Also, there are some news regarding Saliba, some warning ones and some very good ones to that extent. So that will be interesting to see how that develops and how that goes. And some bits and bobs here and there regarding Arsenal, Calafiori, and other players have spoken on interviews. Basically, the usual Arsenal stuff. It's obviously slow days when Arsenal are not live and they are not playing. It's a bit different to the times when they're playing because there's always some action. Currently, Arsenal are quite silent in that regard. Obviously, the latest news we got was about the new sporting director, that obviously we are in March, and to this month we're gonna sign a new sporting director. Who will it be? Well, it's gonna be Ato, Ashworth, Olabe, or one of those rest of the two. I forgot the names on top of my head. Time only will tell. But of course, there is some stuff to talk about Petit, what he has said, about Calafiori and other interviews, and of course Saliba, new contract offers from Arsenal, but there are also some talks about Real Madrid, so we're definitely gonna tackle all those and some other stuff we're gonna talk about. So before we get all into that, like the stream, like it, helps the algorithm, helps a lot, takes a second, definitely would help. If you haven't already as well, subscribe. Aiming for 500 subscribers as soon as possible, and obviously then we go from there. And if you leave your thoughts down in the live chat. Let's tackle them, let's discuss them and see where they lead us today, because usually we talk about stuff and obviously some news start to come in slowly but steadily, and we tackle them obviously straight up. And we're gonna kick things off today with William Saliba. On the first news that came out today about Williams, well, not today, yesterday, that was actually late night yesterday, it was tweeted out, but came out yesterday was that Real Madrid allegedly, it's all strictly a rumor, are planning to make a move for William Saliba in 2026. That's basically 1 year before his contract runs out. So basically what Real Madrid tends to do at times, sign players on free, sign on pre-contracts and everything. Unless they 1 year left, they think they can get a player for the cut price deal. That's how Real Madrid have been operating, and to some extent that's how they have some of their best players. They sign Mbappe for free, Rudiger for free, and it has worked out for them. Obviously, for now, as it stands, the talks have gone a bit quiet. Also, Saliba's performances have dipped a bit. Gabriel obviously quite noticeably is the best defender for us at the moment, so time will tell whether Saliba can recover himself to being one of the best again. Because, yeah, as I said, his performances have dropped off. He's making mistakes he never made before. Whether it's that he's been checked out a bit with Real Madrid links and that Real Madrid actually gonna come knocking and he wants to leave, who knows? Because when Real Madrid comes for you, obviously, to some extent, you cannot escape it. Let's be real, you cannot escape it. Time will tell, obviously, what's gonna happen with that. Obviously, as I said, 2026, but there are some more news regarding William Saliba. If I can find them, of course. If I can find them, here it is. According to Graham Bailey, apparently Arsenal are readying a contract, offer for William Saliba. That if accepted, that's obviously if he will accept as well, will put him up on par with the club's highest earners. At the moment, Kai Havertz is the top earner with 285 grand a week, which seems very preposterous, but hey, what it is. There's Gabriel Jesus up there, there is Saka up there. Obviously, I wouldn't say the top players, but obviously there are quite a few players up there. They will look to open talks in coming months. Obviously, I would assume sometime in April, towards the end part of the season. And with a view to getting a deal over the line before the start of next season. So basically, in the closest time, Arsenal will offer William Saliba a new contract with hopes that he accepts, basically, because we just read that Real Madrid are aiming to go for him in 2026. His contract runs out in 2027. With the news, it's quite interesting that the news that Real Madrid are gonna come for him comes out yesterday, and already today they are reported that Arsenal are gonna offer him a new contract. Whether there is some connection between that, obviously we can only speculate in this regard. But losing William Saliba, no shadow of a doubt, will be rough. It definitely will affect Arsenal in very high level. Obviously, we should get some pretty penny if we decide to sell him and he doesn't leave for free when his contract runs out, of course. But the big question is, what is running through his mind at the moment? Because Real Madrid talks, Real Madrid links, Real Madrid rumors have been circulating around Saliba since late September, October, pretty much. Because, as we all know, that Real Madrid sent their scouts to some Arsenal games in Champions League against Spurs as well, and they were scouting Saliba. They were scouting also Romero, of course, but those talks have gone hella silent these days. Predominantly, it's still William Saliba. There's also Lukeba from RB Leipzig being discussed, but Saliba still, to some extent, remains the top target. As in, if his contract, if they're gonna try and go for him in 2026. He will have a year left in his deal unless Arsenal manage to renew his contract to extra 2 years, let's just say till 2029, and put him on about 250, 260 grand a week. Because Arsenal's wage structure these days is a mess. Let's just put it that way. It's a massive mess because there are some players earning very big money. There are some who should not be earning as much, and there are some players who are earning very little for what they put out in terms of the team. Because even if we look at the wage structure that's currently surrounding Arsenal, right? It's not a good look, in my opinion. It's definitely not a good look if we talk about Arsenal and the wage structure we have put out in this regard, in terms of how players are being rewarded for their performances and what money the players are on, because there definitely are players who should be earning more, and there definitely are players who should be earning, well, I don't want to say less, but because the club puts them on the wages, not themselves. But they definitely do, on some way, shape, or form, in my opinion, don't deserve as much money. Obviously, I'm not. Well, I actually I might actually cut it so you can see me full screen, right here. But here it is, the wage structure of Arsenal, which is genuinely not a nice look. Kai Havertz is on 280 grand, 280 grand, which is, in my opinion, hella overpaid for Kai Havertz. If it was up to me, he would be on about 150, 160 at best. For the fact that he has performances, but he doesn't have the output. He's a somewhat solid performer, but overall he doesn't do the things the necessary way in that regard. Gabriel Jesus is the second highest earner in 265 grand a week, which means the two strikers, quote-unquote strikers, we have in the team are earning over 550 grand a week. Over $500,000 a week we're paying them for not scoring goals. Then there's Odegaard on 240, there's Rice on 240, Thomas Partey on 200, and Saliba currently sits on 190. And if Arsenal are willing to offer him a new deal, and if it's true that he's gonna be up there with the top earners, you would expect for him being around 240, 250 a week. Which for Saliba, I think it's actually fair. For Saliba, it's fair. For me, the biggest issue is we have basically made our wage structure in such a way that all of these players have won nothing at Arsenal, yet they are on such high wages that it's concerning long term. Because if we are now going into transfer window and we try and sign a player, random any player, they can look at this and say, well, they haven't won anything at Arsenal, and Arsenal haven't won anything in 5 years, and they are on such high wages. I come here, I want something similar, because there is no guarantees I can win something anyways here, because Arteta and hasn't proven that he can get us over the line in general over the longer course of period. And to some extent you could say also that the project has failed in a massive way. They said that the project is about to go bang. It has gone bang, but not in a very positive way. You could also argue to that point. Let's be real, because look, the wages are actually criminal. Especially if we talk about some players who are performing to very high standards, but they don't get rewarded from this, at least contract-wise. And prime example for this is, for example, Jurrien Timber. Obviously, he got ACL when he just signed, he just come back, but you could argue that 90,000 a week for Jurrien Timber is being underpaid. You could say Gabriel Magalhaes, 100 grand a week. He gets 2 times less than Thomas Partey, than Bukayo Saka, almost 2 times less than William Saliba. But at the same time, you can argue that in the last year and a half, Gabriel has been our best defender. And ironically enough, he's been also our best attacker. Because when we were scoring goals from corners at least, or scoring goals from set pieces, predominantly it was Gabriel who was scoring these goals for Arsenal to get us over the line. So definitely there is some talks about Gabriel Magalhaes especially, because he, in this regard, feels very, very underpaid. Very underpaid. And even to look at this, when the contracts have been re-signed, when these contracts have been signed, you look, Havertz signed in 2023, okay, Jesus as well, but Odegaard got a new contract. He signed one new in 2023, in September. Bukayo Saka got a new contract in May 2023. Saliba already signed a contract in July 2023. Martinelli as well, February 2023, he signed a new deal which put him on 180 grand a week. And of all these players, ironically enough, also Ben White signed a new contract, but Gabriel Magalhaes is the one that hasn't gotten a new contract. In October 21st, 2022, he signed a deal to be on 100 grand a week. 3 years, well, 2.5 years have passed and he hasn't gotten a contract extension, whilst other players have gotten who are playing beside him. And to be honest, of all of these players, Gabriel has been the most consistent one. He arguably has been one of the most important ones in our team. So that also raises more questions that gives answers, because why is that even happening? Why is this a thing? Why Gabriel Magalhaes, our main center back to some extent, one of the dynamic duo in our center back pairing, and arguably one of the best center backs even in Europe still at the moment, hasn't been offered a new deal, a bigger deal, a much more respectable and much more deserved deal. Because for me personally, Gabriel Magalhaes should be on the money that, for example, Gabriel Martinelli is on. If Gabriel Magalhaes is on 100 grand and Martinelli is on 180, I would argue that Gabriel Magalhaes should be on 180 as well. Because he plays game in, game out, almost never is injured, and he predominantly, 99% time, produces top-notch performances. Yes, there are games when we concede a lot, but many times also it's not his fault, although a whole defense then is at fault, let's be real. But him being so underpaid, it's actually very, very worrying in this regard. Only 100 grand a week for Gabriel Magalhaes. And then you look at the two players who are carrying our team, Ethan Vanieri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Those two are on 10 grand a week combined. And those two, this season currently, are carrying our season. One is a midfielder who plays as left back, and you could argue that one's a number 10 who plays as a right wing. So that also makes no sense, but obviously there have already been talks that Skelly and Vanieri also will be signed a new deal very, very soon. But yeah, let's just say Trossard also has been rumored potentially for a new deal, which will see a significant salary increase, so that only time will tell what's going to happen there. Biggest questions for me is Tomiyasu. He has played 6 minutes this season. He hasn't played for over a year, and he gets 100 bags a week. But still, when I look at this, the most criminal one is Gabriel Magalhaes. 100 grand a week, he gets paid less than Jorginho, less than Calafiori, less than Merino, less than Zinchenko, obviously less than Sterling, less than Martinelli, way less. And that is a big, big worry for me. We need to re-sign him, and obviously Gabriel Magalhaes, he's not the youngest spring chicken, he's 27 at the moment as well. He's 27. He's gonna be 30 soon as well, so he needs to get some money. He needs to get some dough. Why do we want to sign a veteran like Josh Kimmich? Josh Kimmich is 30. Let's be real, Joshua Kimmich is 30. It wouldn't be the worst signing, big up Kwame by the way. It wouldn't be the worst signing, especially with Petit leaving and everything. 30 years old, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. People want to put this emphasis on the age, but it's not that big of a deal. We signed Jorginho when he was, 30-something years old. Aubameyang was 28 and stuff like that. It's not that signing old players is not a bad thing, as people make it out to be. Only the fact is, what kind of old player you sign, that also is a big thing. Because you can sign a 30-year-old who is injury prone and everything, and then it's done and dusted. But Kimmich is not the guy, and people say, why such a veteran striker? But Kimmich scored against Arsenal last year as well. He was the reason why we lost at Allianz Arena, why we got eliminated from the Champions League as well. He can play number 6, he can play right back, so it's not that bad of a deal. It kind of fits for Arteta kind of perfectly. The thing is though, he's a number 6. And for me personally, when I look at these things, I much rather have Declan Rice play as a number 6 than as number 8. Because then if we sign Kimmich, predominantly we should be signing him with a guarantee that he's a starter. And if he starts as a 6, it again kind of defeats the sole purpose of even signing Declan Rice, because we have signed Declan Rice as a number 6 who was fantastic as a number 6 to play him as a number 8 where he looks sometimes great, sometimes bang average if not worse. And overall, if you look at this, we have spent what, 105, 140, 205 million in that left number 8 spot by signing Havertz, by signing Rice, and by signing Merino. And none of them actually have secured the position properly. None of them are out and out left 8s. Because we need more creative sparks from the midfield, and none of them are creative sparks. Partey is not a creative playmaker. Declan Rice is not a creative playmaker. He's more of a disruptor, and he's the diagonals long ball distributor from the deep end, which basically, as a number 6, he should be doing, and is what he did when he was at West Ham under David Moyes, which basically carried them in Conference League to the finals and allowed them to win the Conference League final. So we have actually mismanaged again such big lumps of money that it's actually kind of nuts. So signing Joshua Kimmich would not be the worst thing. The question is, even if we sign him, where would he play? Because that again gives me big worries that Declan Rice stays as an 8. And as much as I like Declan Rice overall, and I think obviously we overpaid for him, he is not a number 8, he's a 6, and that is for me a big massive worry if you ask me. That is for me the biggest worry in all of this, obviously. But yeah, going back to William Saliba and everything, it's actually not that bad if we're gonna try and sign him. The question is, will he sign or not? That is the big question. Will he sign or not the new deal? Because Real Madrid are knocking, Real Madrid are looking. Saliba's contract runs out in 2 years. So if he goes in his final year with not a new extension and Real Madrid still knocking, there's bigger chance than anything that he's gonna leave at the end of the day. So that is a big worry. What's gonna happen with this one? Genuinely a big massive worry. What's gonna happen with this one? We talked about this. Nico Paz. Obviously, Arsenal have been linked with Nico Paz previously, and also it looks like Spurs and Chelsea and Man City are looking in this summer to sign Nico Paz. Real Madrid also have buyback clause for Nico Paz, and that is a big thing. I have watched a few Como games under Cesc Fabregas and everything. He actually doesn't look bad. He actually looks pretty darn good. The question is, would Arsenal sign him? That for me is the big thing. Because Nico Paz, he is not old. He's actually a youngster. He's only 20. He's from Argentina. We haven't had, to be honest, in Arsenal's history, we have only had 2 Argentinian players. It's Emiliano Martinez, and there's another one long time ago, which I am forgetting to name at the moment. But Arsenal have had only 2 Argentinian players. It's kind of interesting that Arsenal haven't had too many Argentinians in their team. But I wouldn't be against signing Nico Paz. In 24 games, 6 goals, 5 assists is not bad. He predominantly plays as a number 10 or as a right wing, which kind of is the same place as Fabio Vieira plays, where Ranieri should be playing. So definitely works that. He's also left-footed, which Arteta definitely has a sweet spot for. So that's the big question. What could happen with him? They signed Nico Paz, Como from Real Madrid Castilla for only 6 million, which doesn't seem a lot, which seems very cheap. The fact that Real Madrid have buyback clause in this, that is the biggest worry. Although Real Madrid don't need a right wing / number 10 back, because they have Guler, they have Brahim Diaz, they have Rodrigo, they technically have Endrick as well, so that right wing spot is not that much up for grabs, so there's a big possibility they won't even trigger the buyback clause, which is actually quite nice. But obviously, as it was said, there are quite a few clubs that want him, and about 4 or 5 Premier League clubs are in for him. That for me is the big worry. That genuinely is for me a big worry in that regard. So time only will tell obviously what's going to happen with Nico Paz. He hasn't had injuries as well as of yet. He's only 20 obviously, so time will only tell. But overall he has had pretty decent seasons. He has played 1 season in Serie A. He's playing currently, 6 goals, 5 assists. 1 season in Real Madrid Castilla team, second Madrid's young team, in 29 games, 10 goals, 4 assists, which actually is very good. He has predominantly played in Castilla as well. He doesn't have records before. But he starts quite a bit of games for Como this season as well. Because look, he predominantly plays full 90s. He has been a sub in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games he's been subbed on. In 5 games he's been subbed on. and he just he assisted in the win against Napoli, scored against the winning against Fiorentina, only goal against Atalanta. So he knows how to find the back of the net, and he seems very good and creative. He seems that he can actually play the ball well. He has decent shot on him. So if we can develop him properly, it actually wouldn't be the worst option. I just realized Kimmich is a right back as well. Exactly, Kimmich is a right back just as he's a number 6. That's what I'm saying. It's just like Philip Lahm, basically, right back slash number 6. So that for me is the biggest question. He can play in both of those spots. But you could argue that Arsenal have both of those spots pretty much filled out. Because Declan Rice, for me, is a number 6 and he should be playing there. And the right back spot obviously has been filled out with Ben White and Jurien Timber. Unless he plans to go at 3 at the back or something like that, where he becomes a right wing back or something or like that. I don't see a reasoning to some extent how Kimmich would play, because he's one of the main guys. He's on 300 grand a week at Bayern Munich. And if we sign him, he wouldn't want to be a backup. So as much as I would like to see Kimmich at Arsenal, there's a big question marks over the fact that whether he would be a starter, where would he play, and how Arteta does see him in the team, even if this is true or not. And the biggest worry is that it leaves Declan Rice again as a left number 8, which for Arsenal purposes, creative purposes, and going forwards and even defensively as well, it's doing more harm than good for the system. As much as I hate using this word system, but it doesn't look like Arteta is going to change the style he wants to play. It doesn't look like Arteta is going to change the formations, the philosophy, how he wants to play. And unfortunately, obviously, as Nico Paz on the screen, he would fit in there. But Joshua Kimmich, he wouldn't fit in there. He wouldn't, because Declan Rice, unless he plans to play Kimmich instead of Partey, I don't see any other option. Let's be real. I genuinely don't see it. That for me is a big question mark. What can come out of that? Because I don't know. It's again, as I said, it raises more questions than gives answers in general. So that for me is a big massive worry. Now this is a bit overhyped, I'm not gonna lie, but hey, let's talk about this. Former Arsenal strikers have been finding the back of the net consistently in 2025. Obviously, Nketiah has scored 2 goals since January. Obviously, they're looking in 2025 because, well, let's be real, they have no other place to look, because they need to somehow put in Mika Biereth in this, even though he was balling at Sturm Graz as well. Let's be real. And he never saw, and Mika Biereth never saw this much coverage when he was at Sturm Graz, only as soon as he moved to Monaco. But Edin Nketiah has scored 2 goals. We are not focusing on that. Chubakpong has 3 goals this year. I'm not focusing on that. I'm focusing more on Mika Biereth in this regard. Arsenal sold him for 4 million last summer. Just the summer that just finished, right? He played half a season at Sturm Graz. He was banging goals in there. And then Monaco bought him for 12 million. 4 or 5 million of that money went to Arsenal as the sell-on clause. Yeah? So Arsenal made about 9 million on Mika Biereth. But the way Mika Biereth has kicked on in Ligue 1 is actually quite insane. He has 2 or 3 hat-tricks since he's moved there late January. He has 10 goals, 2 assists in about, 6-7 games? He has 12 points in 7 games for AS Monaco. Isn't that telling you something? He scored hat-trick yesterday, by the way, as wild as it sounds. And that, for me, raises very, very big questions about Arsenal's, and Mikel Arteta's more specifically, ideology regarding strikers, because we have had strikers we could try and test. We had Chido, obviously he bugged off himself, but predominantly I'm talking about here Folarin Balogun and Mika Biereth, because none of those 2 guys got a kick at Arsenal's main team. They never got tested out properly, and it all finished there. Let's be real. Mika Biereth, Folarin Balogun had a fantastic season on Reims. Arsenal decided to cash in on the hype, which, to be honest, not the worst move, but that would also, for me, indicate that we would go out and sign a striker, and we didn't. We basically sat there, we gave Edin Nketiah 100 grand a week, and we decided also not to sign Isak in the same window. And then last summer, we sell Mika Biereth, who obviously he can score goals everywhere where he has played so far. And that is for me a big question mark. Why Arsenal didn't take a punt on him? Especially given the fact that, by the looks of things, Arsenal had no intentions in signing a striker. Only when shit hit the fan, we saw some links and alleged bids for Watkins and what's its face and Benjamin Sesko in the summer. Only then. Besides that, we didn't see any movements in terms of strikers whatsoever. So that for me is another big issue. Because you can't tell me that Mika Bieref wouldn't be better than players we are using now at striker. We spent 35 million to sign Mikel Merino at number 6 to play in the midfield, to play him as a striker right now. Might as well use those 35-40 million to sign actually a proper striker. To sign Dovbyk. Even Morata, let's be real. To sign even Morata. Sign Sorloth or someone like that. There were options out there to sign. But no, we signed number 6 in Mikel Merino as a midfielder to play him as a striker right now when everything basically has hit the fan. That is total incompetence and negligence in terms of striker situation from Arsenal in general. And people say, oh, Mikel Arteta doesn't have the money, he wasn't given the money. He has been given the money. Since Aubameyang basically got kicked out of the club, basically, we have spent about 400 million. And none of them have been to sign a striker. That is on Mikel Arteta alone. We cannot blame anyone else. That is totally on Mikel Arteta. And if you want to tell me that Mika Biereth couldn't have done better than Mikel Merino at striker, than Havertz as a striker, you are genuinely out of your mind, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but you have to be out of your mind. And that is a big worry for me in this regard, obviously. New rules. Let's talk about this, which is actually kind of concerns Arsenal to some extent, let's be real. New rules. IFAB approves new rule from next season for goalkeepers. If a goalkeeper holds the ball for more than 8 seconds, the referee will award a corner kick to the opposing team. 100% some Arsenal fans will spin this as a narrative that everyone hates Arsenal because Araya holds on to the ball too much. Sometimes he plays the ball quickly, let's not kid ourselves, but Arsenal have this tendency to basically milk out the clock. If you get what I mean, basically waste the clock, slow down the play and everything. That's why we take about 30 seconds to a minute to take a corner kick or a free kick, even more sometimes. It takes us about 10 to 15 seconds to make a throw-in. And the same goes for David Raya sometimes. If he gets the ball, he sits there and just doesn't throw the ball, he holds on to it. So that means that if they hold the ball for too long, the referee will instantly award a corner kick to the opposing side, as wild as it sounds. I get it that they want to drag out the clock, right? They don't want to drag it out, they want to ruin it and everything. But there are other ways to basically cut down on time wasting from other teams. Genuinely, you can do that. You can do it like they do in basketball. When the ball goes out of play, they can instantly stop the clock. So they basically play the clock as it goes. Ball goes out, 25 minutes, 12 seconds played, ball goes out of the play, they pause the clock. Once the ball gets thrown into the pitch, someone takes a touch, the clock goes off again. And something like that. They don't need to make these weird rules that someone, if they time waste, you have to take a corner and everything. It's actually kind of nuts. It actually is kind of nuts that they actually try to find random fixes for the issue, but they don't actually want to make the big adjustment to pretty much eliminate the issue. That for me is the big issue, the big problem with football and every single thing. They try to find hot fixes, but they don't want to actually fix the actual issue at the hand. That for me is a big question mark. But hey, it is what it is, I guess. Anyhow, here we go. This is the one I wanted to talk about. Two former Arsenal legends, stars, disagree on certain things. And here specifically, we're going to talk about Bakary Sagna and Emmanuel Petit. Emmanuel Petit obviously has called out Arsenal on numerous occasions about what they do, how they do about things, how they play games and everything. Same goes for some other stars. So we're going to definitely look at that. So here it is. We're going to look at that. What do you mean Mbappe Jr. is here? Where? You? Oh, you are Mbappe Jr. Okay, big up Marlon, big up. Here it is. Miles Lewis-Skelly has been a player in the news over the last few months. Since breaking into the Arsenal's first team, the 18-year-old has started 8 games in the Premier League this season, which included scoring against Man City. Okay, cool. The Haaland graduate has been the topic of conversation since he imitated Erling Haaland's celebration in the Gunners' 5-1 victory over Manchester City last month. Many former Arsenal stars have had their say on players on his celebration. Emmanuel Petit has urged Miles Lewis-Skelly to stay humble in the wake of mimicking Erling Haaland's celebration, while Bakary Sagna defended the 18-year-old. Emmanuel Petit, on the Arsenal youngster, has said that Miles Lewis-Skelly has to show more maturity, and in my piece of advice would be to stay humble. Stay humble when you're talking on the pitch. So I get that. I totally get that. But from the other point of view, he's 18, he hasn't shown anything, and he basically has to stay humble, as Petit is saying, as Haaland said to Arteta and everything. And that should be the case, because many Arsenal fans, Arsenal players even, have the chest to basically act like they're top dogs, right? Without anything to back it up with, obviously. But from the other hand, looking at this, football these days is very soft, in my opinion. And what I mean by that, rivalries are not as big as they used to be. I'm talking about Premier League specifically here, because the rivalries in Rangers versus Celtic, River Plate versus Boca Juniors, and Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce, Inter versus AC, they are still big things, let's be real. El Clásicos and everything, those are big, those are still big. But in Premier League, Spurs versus Arsenal, it's not as big, because they play the game, then they just shake hands and and play ring around the rosy on the pitch. Same goes for United versus Arsenal, even Merseyside derby to some extent. It's not as big as it used to be. And that's why I think I kind of also defend Miles Lewis-Skelly here. We need more shithousery like that. We need some more attitude. We need some more chest to some extent there as well. Petit continued that I've impressed with his performances, but so far the mocking of Erling Haaland Manchester, come on. Miles Lewis-Skelly wasn't involved in Arsenal's last match after picking a red card in the defeat against West Ham. Speaking on the sending off, Petit added, "It's karma. You need to focus on winning each game, and now it's another red card. How many stupid red cards have Arsenal had this season, and even since Mikel Arteta arrived?" And to be honest, this season, let's not kid ourselves, we have gotten 5 red cards. And I think 4 of them were Arsenal's own stupidity. Full on Arsenal's own stupidity. One of them can be a bit justified. Since Arteta has been here, Arsenal have received 20 red cards, if I'm not mistaken. And I would say more than half of those have been again due to our sheer stupidity, disciplinary issues, and everything that comes with that. Arsenal lost to West Ham, and then players take the blame alongside Arteta. Arsenal have not been able to show their quality when it matters, and although mathematically they can do it, they don't have the character or the personality for that. Big up Emmanuel Petit for saying this. Mathematically, everything's possible. But he's speaking true facts there. Arsenal players don't have the character or the personality to basically win the league. And that has been proven year after year in Premier League, in Carabao Cup, in FA Cup, in Champions League, in Europa League. It has been proven everywhere that they don't have the backbone to basically stand up when the going gets tough. Let's be real. That is the case, and that's how it's been with Arsenal since Arteta has joined. That is the big reason, and that I fully and utterly understand. Totally back it up with what he's saying here. Yeah, Betis pocketed Mbappe, and Isco, by the way, scored the winning penalty as well. Only reason Skelly got the red card because he, on the goals. Nah, it's not because of that. You cannot say these things. That's a sheer stupidity and excuse on your end. Let's be real. That is a sheer excuse again. Just, you shouldn't be in position to basically give any of those. In comparison, Bakary Sagna had a huge praise for the 18-year-old. The former Arsenal right back has been impressed with the personality of Miles Lewis-Skelly and has shown on the pitch, and even suggested he should be called up to the England national team very soon. And to be honest, there's a possibility Tuchel actually is going to call him up for the upcoming international games. Bakary Sagna. I think from what he's shown since getting into Arsenal's first team, Skelly deserves to be called into England team. At the highest level, he's proven he can handle those demands. He's shown more than capable, and that is true. He has shown that even when he's 19 years old, he's one of the main guys in the team. As weirdly as it sounds, due to him, even he has benched our summer's marquee signing in Calafiori. Let's be real, he has actually done that. So I guess it is what it is. Yeah, but that is not because of the things you want to suggest. It's because the referees are shit. That is ultimately that. Referees are shit. Let's not kid ourselves. You can push the narratives of these things. Yes, there is maybe some fact behind the fact that behind the situation that maybe they don't like us or anything. But who cares? You cannot use this as an excuse why he got the red card, why Arsenal lost the game, why we are not good enough. Because ultimately the game starts 11 versus 11. And if you are this so-called scintillating, dangerous and all that crap that Top Gunners want to push on everyone, then you should be able to get the job done no matter what. And when you don't get the job done, you shouldn't be using referees and red cards as an excuse. Let's be real. If we are this good, the fantastic team that we supposedly, according to Top Gunners, are, we should be able to do our talking on the pitch. We should be beating teams like West Ham, like Brighton and teams like that, and not use some red cards or crap like that as an excuse. Yet Top Gunners do that all the time. You either win or you don't. And as soon as you don't, you must look at yourself and you must look at what went wrong, not make those as excuse. Are you telling me the coach should not have gone red card? I'm not telling that. I'm not telling that. They deserve the red cards. Especially Kovacic. Definitely Kovacic. And even Rodri to some extent. I'm not saying that. Genuinely not saying that. But to instigate and suggest the reasons why you think why Skelly got the red cards, that is sheer and utter disgrace. And that is on your end. Not anyone else's. Because look what you said 2 messages above. That is total ignorance to matters at hand. So Sanya continued to say that the level he has played at Arsenal for about Miles Lewis Skelly is the player that for Arsenal he definitely ready for it. I also think that he could provide an interesting solution that has been a problem for England over the last year. Age is never a barrier in football. If you're good enough, you are old enough to play. Exactly. Big up Bakary Sagna for saying that as well. Big up Bakary Sagna for saying that as well. And obviously, Emmanuel Petit also said this. History repeats itself with Arsenal. Netflix FC. I refuse to blame their injuries. See, injuries are not an excuse why Arsenal lose games once again, borrow the leagues once again. Because last year we didn't have injuries pretty much, and we still didn't win the league. So now all of a sudden, when we have injuries, it's instantly an excuse why we didn't do it. That doesn't fly. Genuinely doesn't fly. Big up Emmanuel Petit for saying that injuries are not an excuse for not winning the league and not winning the games. Big up him for that. Some accountability for a change. Look at the performances against West Ham. Injuries don't mean you play with that level of intensity when you have a chance to put pressure on Liverpool. See? Big up Emmanuel Petit. He actually is speaking some facts here. Arsenal players have to blame themselves. Exactly. And Mikel Arteta as well have to blame himself. They had a chance to close the gap and they lost at home to a team who were 16th in the table. There are no excuses. Big up Emmanuel Petit for calling stuff out for what it is. Let's be real. Big up. With Saka we beat Forest and West Ham. Without him we play. Exactly. We are Saka FC. We genuinely are Saka FC. Obviously, we have lost against the smaller teams even with Saka. But having Saka in the team just gives us that chance. Gives us just the chance that we can do it. Without Saka, we don't even have the chances against the smaller teams. That is the big issue here. And let's be real, the big 6 games have not been an issue for Arsenal. Not under Arteta, well, to some extent, but even under Arsene Wenger. Historically, in the last 20 years, it has not been the biggest problem. Biggest problem have been the smaller teams. Because somehow, against the big teams, we always can basically play. Against the smaller teams, we always shit the bed. And that now is on the manager as well. That's on Mikel Arteta, because all the smaller teams predominantly play the same style against us because it works. They play low block or they play mid/low block in the interchange between them. And it works against Arsenal because in 5.5 years in being in charge at Arsenal, Arteta still doesn't have a goddamn clue how to coach and beat mid-low blocks. Still has no idea. And that is one of the biggest issues why we are losing these games. Can he come out of retirement though? Would be nice, because that he would actually be fantastic to see how he would. If Emmanuel Petit at the moment was 25 and he was playing for Arsenal, he probably would go and butt heads with Mikel Arteta quite heavily. And at the end of the day, he would get Aubameyang treatment where he gets exiled from the club and he basically we're gonna let him go. That's how he would do at Arsenal. Because Emmanuel Petit, compared to some other people, have standards, has ambition, have the ability, and he wouldn't stand for the crap we are seeing on the pitch, wouldn't stand for the crap we are seeing off the pitch. Let's be real. Imagine if in the Invincibles era we would get a dog. That shit would never fly with fans and with the team. Never ever. Let's be real. But big up for Emmanuel Petit for calling out it is what it is. Arsenal have to blame themselves, and there are genuinely no excuses for the fact that we lose against a team that was in 16th place at the time, and I'm talking about here of West Ham. Big up Emmanuel Petit. He is one of Arsenal's legends over the years who have actually called spade per spade, for calling it as it is, and that's something I really like. It's not like Martin Keown, who has sold out for pound note with Arsenal, who is still saying that Arteta is best thing since sliced bread. As much as I like Ian Wright, still he's doing the same thing. He has his own merch even in Arsenal store and everything. So that is also not the greatest of things as well. Because of late we can't even score 3 goals in a row without Saka or Havertz. And that's the biggest thing. Without Saka we can't score, right? And that's the worst part is, as bad as Havertz was at striker, right? And he missed billions of chances, he still managed to put on occasion something in the back of the net. Now we even can't do that. That is an even bigger issue, by the way. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. Because Arsenal have released... Where is it? It's Odegaard, and nobody cares. New merch. New merch came out yesterday. New merch from Arsenal came out yesterday. Look at this beauty. In collaboration with Me Old China, Arsenal have released new merch. We were looking at this yesterday a bit, so we're gonna look at it more fully today. Here it is, new merch from Arsenal. New merch from Arsenal. It's actually kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie. New merch from Arsenal. Are you getting the new Arsenal China or not? Are you? Are you getting more the China from Arsenal? We blame Havertz for his misses, but he scores when he needs him to. Without him, we have to score. That's the biggest thing. Havertz is not a striker. We play him as a striker. So Arteta gets a stick for that, and even Havertz gets a stick for that, because in normal circumstances, the chances he gets, he should even be putting it away as a professional footballer. But if we had a striker, because we all know that if we had a proper striker, those chances go in the back of the net. Havertz gets stick for that. And people cuss him out to some extent, let's be real, including ourselves, that he's not good enough and he should get sold and everything, blah, 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 right? But even with him, even now without him and with him, is the same thing. With Havertz, we had, let's just say, 5% chance to score. Now without Havertz, we have no chance to score pretty much. That's how bad it is. Havertz gave that small chance, the fine margin, as Mikel Arteta likes to say, for us to score. And nobody gives a F about merch, man. Go learn some attacking players, learn how to... Exactly! Learn how to take first touch, shoot at goal, get some goals. Look at this. Would you want An Arsenal times me old China vase. £550. Who has the money to spend? Arsenal plate, £75. Arsenal leaf print, £125. There is more, by the way. Arsenal Emmy limited edition vase, £385. Arsenal times China limited edition mug. A mug for £40. I kid you not, this mug, right? The mug itself cost about £5. Doing the artwork on it, if you get the print or anything or something similar, costs what? £15? So that's £20 of a mug gets sold for £40. Good job. An Arsenal Me Old China limited edition on different plate, £55. Make it make sense. Well, genuinely, it's actually kinda nuts. It actually is kinda nuts. Wait. What else is new? Nobody's buying these North London Classic varsity jackets, so they have even do discounts. Exclusives, £80, £75, £100 for this jacket. Holy crap. Anyone have the money to buy this stuff, by the way? £100 for Adidas Terrace Icons Gazelle shoes. £100. Holy moly, to say the least. That genuinely was a holy moly. That's actually kind of insane if you ask me how expensive those... Whoa, my bad. That actually is insane how expensive those things are. That actually was kind of nuts if you ask me. But hey, it is what it is, I guess. People are buying and eating it up. Now, what else do we have here? What else do we have here? We talked about this. Oh, Calafiori, we all know this one. Calafiori, look at this. Look what Calafiori said. Calafiori on Arsenal's training, right? Training regime. Training here is very different. We spend a shorter time on the pitch, but it's much more intense. Everything is more intense. At the beginning, I found that difficult, but now I'm used to it. I like it. Now, I don't want to be a conspiracy theory merchant, right? But could this be the reason why our players get so many injuries? Because the trainings are, they spend shorter time on the pitch, and they have 10 times more intense training since they spend less time on the pitch. Could that be the reason our players cannot pass the ball properly, have a shot properly on target, cannot score goals, and somehow get hamstring injuries or muscular injuries on consistent basis? Could that be the reason why? Just putting it out there. Random question. Could that be the reason why? Trainings are shorter, much more intense, everything is more intense. Could that be the reason? Less time on the pitch and everything and all that stuff. Could that be the reason why we get so many injuries? Random question for you all. Random question. By the way, games in FA Cup. I didn't check those today. Crystal beat Millwall. Crystal Palace 3-1. Mateta got a serious injury. Millwall goalkeeper kicked him in the head. Preston 3-0 over Burnley. Bournemouth beat Wolves on penalties. And City beat Plymouth 3-1. PSG are beating Lille 4-0. Who scored? Barcola, Marquinhos, Dembele, and Desiree Doué. Napoli-Inter ended 1-1. Di Marco scored a banging free kick, by the way. And Philip Billings scored a goal. Holy crap. Real Madrid lost to Betis 2-1. Isco scored and assisted, by the way. Isco scored and assisted in that game. Ex-Real Madrid player beat Real Madrid current team. Although playing in Sevilla is always a very tough task, I'm not gonna lie. We need Chef Belek, he would be banging. And don't talk about Farmer League, because Marseille won you. To be honest, do you know how they talk about, oh, Bundesliga is a farmers league, oh, oh, Ligue 1 is a farmers league and everything, right? La Liga is a farmers league, Italian league is a farmers league. These Premier League merchants talk like every single league in the world is a farmers league, right? But then you look at this. From where do most Premier League teams sign their best players? Haaland, where did he play? Austria and Bundesliga, for example, right? Well, like that's on top of my head only. De Bruyne played for Chelsea, obviously. He was at then Wolfsburg, and then he came up back to what's its face to Man City. If we look at, well, we can look at anyone obviously over the years. Liverpool signed El Nino. Arsenal signed what's its face. Fucking hell. Arsenal signed Petit, obviously, from Italian league. Same, what's its face? Conte came from Spanish second league or something like that. Like, it goes all over the place. They get signed out of nowhere, yet they ball out. It's actually kind of insane. I would love Isco. I would love Isco at Arsenal. That would be phenomenal for me. Isco has been over the years one of my favorite players since the Malaga days, 12, 13 and everything. 12, 13 and everything. When they had against See, we signed him from Juventus. Hey, yo, don't chat to me. We signed Henry from Juventus. We signed him from Juventus. Not Monaco. But yeah, most of the ballers that basically carry most of the teams come outside. And how comes if the La Liga, for example, is Farmers League, they always win, almost predominantly are in top 4 in Champions League every single time, and Real Madrid cleans it up? Like, how comes when Arsenal play against Italian teams, we lose to them? How comes every other team that plays against Premier League teams more often than not get the best of them? Yet we have the best league in the world. Best teams in the world. Makes no sense somehow, does it? See, we argued about not wanting Rashford. Look at him now. To be honest, I was arguing about not getting Asensio. I was arguing about that as well. And look at him. Asensio has more goals in Premier League now for us. No, Asensio has more goals for Aston Villa than Odegaard has in a whole season. As well. Like, make it make sense. No. Calafiori is a center back. 100%. I never said he's a left back. He's 100% a center back. Arteta just has this fetish to sign some players and play them out of position. He signed Rice, who was a number 6, and he plays him as an 8. He signed Partey, who is a number 6 and sometimes plays him as a right back. He signed Calafiori, who's a center back, plays him as a left back. Miles Lewis-Skelly is a number 8, but we play him as a left back. Zinchenko is an 8 or a 10, but we play him as a left back. Kivior is a center back, but we play him as a left back. Even Tomiyasu to some extent actually was a right-sided center back in Bologna when they played 3 at the back, but we play him as a right back and a left back. Arteta has this weird fetish of playing players out of positions. Havertz, I don't know who he was, but we signed him as a midfielder, then he played him as a striker and everything. It's actually kind of nuts. If Ligue 1 only kept their youngsters, they would dominate. 100%. 100%. To be honest, if you look at Monaco's team, when they used to have it with Fabinho, Bernardo Silva, Kylian Mbappe, players like that, imagine if they actually could have held on to those players and build on them. You can look at that all the way like that. Unfortunately, for example, Malaga, they had Isco, they had Joaquin, De Michelis, Camacho, they had Claudio Bravo, players like that. They all just went, unfortunately. Ben White is he's a center back in 3 center back formation as well. In two center back formation, he's kind of crap. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, he's a center back as well in 3-sided, and we play and he plays him as a right back as well. And to be honest, only reason why we play him as a right back predominantly is because he was quite bad as a center back when we just signed him. So he put him as a right back. Obviously, nobody's complaining because it worked out fantastically well. But then he had a hole to fill, and he kind of locked out that he had Saliba there to play, and that's why Saliba even got a chance in the first team. Let's be real. And it goes all that. Big up Mike, by the way. Big up Mike. And it goes all the way like that. And Arteta is very stubborn in this regard. Exactly. Arteta is stubborn. Remember, we are so lopsided team that we predominantly attack through the right side, that our right side was deemed insane by Arsenal fans, obviously. Scintillating and dangerous. That right triangle of White, Saka, and Odegaard, was deemed fantastic. But now Arteta has done nothing while he had that fantastic right side. It was so overused on the right side that he has totally neglected attack through the middle and attack through the left, that it now has come to a point that our right side is completely destroyed because Ben White was out for months, Saka is out, none of them have proper replacements. Timber is fantastic, but overall our right side is ruined. And now that we need goals, we need some dangerous threat, we need directness, we need attack from left side as well, through midfield and through the middle part of the pitch as well. We have none of it because he has only focused on the right side of this triangle of White, Odegaard, and Saka. And now we are paying the ultimate price because some of them are out, and it was bound to happen eventually. And now that he has neglected left side and the mid part of the pitch, we can't do anything. We lack out of ideas. Our manager has deer in headlights look, and partially our players as well have deer in headlights look. Odegaard goes hiding in games, he runs behind defenders and then demands the ball, and Declan Rice with the ball at his feet is yelling at him that you idiot, you are behind the defender, how can I pass you the ball unless I nutmeg him or something like that. It's all over the place. Our team is totally screwed up these days. Who pisses you off at Arsenal? Well, that's easy. That's Kroenkes, that is Arteta. Odegaard, 99% of the time in games. Havertz when he misses empty in the chances. Those are the prime suspects. We're not talking about Shillings or anyone else like that, obviously. That is the big case in this regard. But hey, it is what it is. Now, we talked about salaries. Let's look at Premier League table, because we need to look at this a bit. We need to take a little gander at this as well. Arsenal currently are sitting second in the table. Second in the table, which on paper seems fine until you look how far behind we are the first place. We are 13 points behind the first place, which is not a good look at all. The difference between Arsenal and Liverpool is the same difference Arsenal have with the 8th place, sorry. Arsenal have with 10th place, which is Aston Villa. That's how big the difference are. And Arsenal are only 8 points ahead of Chelsea. Only 8, by the way. We still need to play Chelsea. We still need to play Newcastle. We still need to play Liverpool. We still need to play the teams that are all around us that can basically directly affect our ending of the season, where we're going to finish in the league. And we are in a top 4 race, whether you want to admit it or not. 7 points ahead of City. 7 points only ahead of City. Which seems enough given the City are not in the best performances and the best shapes. At the same time, neither are we. We are looking even worse than City. That is the big issue here. That is the biggest issue here. We are looking even worse than City. Mind you, City actually spent some money in January, 200 million actually to fix their issues. Arsenal did none of that, let's be real. So who knows what's going to happen there and what's going to come from that. But hey, I guess it is what it is. Anything new happening? PSG for nothing. Udinese 1-0. Atletico Madrid versus Athletic Bilbao is a 0-0. That is an interesting game going on there. So both Williamses are starting the game. That is kind of nuts, I'm not gonna lie. One thing. I want to talk about this guy. Fabio Vieira. I realize that most Arsenal fans want him gone. He's on loan at Porto currently. He's on loan at Porto. That there is no arguments about that. What would you do with Fabio Vieira? Because in the last games he actually has done somewhat decently. He has played 17 games, 3 goals, 3 assists. He predominantly starts, In the last 3 games, he has assist and 2 goals, which is actually kind of nice. Porto this season are struggling, I'm not gonna lie, so it's not that great for look for Porto. But overall, it's a weird one. It is a weird one. What would you do with Fabio Vieira? Nah, I don't want Gasperini because as much as he has won, he's not good enough. That for me is the biggest thing. Because he is not good enough. Look. He's been at Atalanta for 9 years. He's been manager basically his whole life, and he has only one trophy to his name, and that is the Europa League in his career. Obviously, that's bigger than what Arteta has won, but overall, he has only one trophy to his name. So that for me is the biggest reason why. Big up Zechara, big up, big up, big up Zechara, big up. Yeah, Fabio Vieira to some extent, at least in the last 3 games, is actually doing quite fine. The question is how he will proceed from that. Because for me, the biggest worry with Fabio Vieira is that he's too weak and he's not gonna do good at Arsenal. And for him to do good at Arsenal, he needs some muscle and he needs his own position. He needs his own strength. He needs a position where he can play on a consistent basis, and he's just not gonna get that at Arsenal. He needs a team where he can start on consistent basis, pick up momentum and speed. And at Arsenal, he's just not gonna get it whatsoever. Let's be real. That for me is the biggest issue, and we spent 35 million on him, you know. So selling him for the same amount even will be a big struggle for Arsenal. So it will be very interesting. That will be a very interesting. How that is gonna go. What Arsenal gonna do even with Fabio Vieira next summer? No, I totally get that. I totally get that he won Europa League, he turned the team around and everything. But for me personally, he is not the answer. Overall, he is not the answer. At least for me now. Saladin is getting too old for youth academy. He's 21, the captain, and better than Odegaard, and we had. That is another big thing. We have Oyedeji on the bench, right? We basically Oyedeji. We put him on the bench. He's 22. He's even older than Saladin, by the way. He has 10 goals, 7 assists in Premier League 2 in Arsenal's under 21 team, and he hasn't kicked a ball for a single second in our main team. He hasn't done that whatsoever. Obviously, his track record in this regard is not looking too good because wherever he has been out on loans, he hasn't done good. That is the biggest worry with Saladin. Saladin. That is with Oyedeji. Because look, he was in League 1 and he was also, I think with League 1, it was League 1 that was Accrington, Stanley and someone else, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was Accrington Stanley and it was Cheltenham Town. He was both in those 2 teams and he didn't score a goal whatsoever. And he just now, this season specifically, at least for Arsenal's under 21 team, he has actually found some balance and some situations to go off of. That for me is the biggest thing. Do I think Oyedeji could actually do good this season? I don't know, because he hasn't kicked a ball for Arsenal for a single second. Single second he hasn't played for Arsenal's main team. And given the issues that we don't have a striker, we are basically, at the moment, turning to an instance where we play a number 6 as a striker, right? Why he hasn't been given a chance? That for me is the biggest question. Why Oyedeji is not getting a chance? Is he that bad in training that he actually doesn't get a kick of a ball or what? Because it makes no sense that given our striker issues, our issues with scoring goals and everything, we basically are turning to a number 6 to play him as a striker. We put even our center backs to play striker to have a chance to score goals. That is a big issue for me personally. What is happening here with Arsenal? Oyedeji, center forward, striker, muscular, can finish, has speed and accuracy on the ball. No game time. That for me is the big thing. Why is he not giving him game time? Just like Ethan Vanieri, like Bakary Sagna just said in an interview that we just read. If you're good enough, you're old enough. Basically, if you can do the job and you're 16, play. If you're good enough to do the job and you're 19, play. And we just haven't seen him given even a chance. That is the biggest issue. Look at Thierry Barry, bro. He's 19 cooking at Barca. Just give him. Exactly. Barca, Real Madrid as well. They have defensive issues. Militao, ACL, Rudiger out, everyone out. They play 19-year-old Asensio from the academy, and he's basically like mini Sergio Ramos for them all of a sudden. They wouldn't have discovered him if we didn't have injuries. Although in the retrospect, that same thing can be applied for Arsenal. If Saka doesn't get injured, Ranieri is not playing. If Calafiori is not injured, and Zinchenko similarly. Sorry. Paldias. Miles Lewis Skelly is not playing even. Let's be real, because he doesn't rate Tierney whatsoever. Mikel Arteta. So basically, in some way, we just got luck of the draw. We just got lucky that Arteta, due to injuries in specific positions, was forced to play these youngsters. Because bigger chances than not, if Calafiori doesn't get injured, we never see Miles Lewis Skelly play. If Saka doesn't get injured, we never see Ranieri play. Because we were praying for Ranieri to play when Odegaard was injured, and he didn't kick a ball whatsoever pretty much there. Only as a sub on random occasions. Arteta played Merino there, Havertz, Trossard in those positions, Jesus in that position, never Ranieri. Saka goes down, and again, he tries Martinelli there, doesn't work. He tries Havertz there, doesn't work. And fanbase with every passing game put more and more pressure on the team and on the club to play Ranieri there. And all of a sudden, he plays them there. That is a big thing. And the fact that so-called last summer's marquee signing in Calafiori gets benched for our 18-year-old just shows that Arteta's talent ID is not as good as people maybe want to think he has, because, as I said, and I will stand on this, there is no chance when Miles Lewis Skelly doesn't play as much and as consistent as he does right now, unless Calafiori is injured these 3-4 times he has been since he has arrived with Arsenal. If Zinchenko doesn't get injured and Arteta doesn't rate him anymore as much. Because let's be real, he's not going to play Tierney as much because he doesn't rate him, so it only left Miles Lewis Skelly. Because White is out, we need a right back. So Timber plays right back and he's not going to play Timber left back because that leaves a hole again. Again, we just got very lucky. Arteta got lucky again in that regard. Yeah, exactly. Calafiori, I think, would be quite amazing in 3 at the back formation as a left-sided center back. I strongly believe so. Very strongly believe so, because that's what he played at Bologna, and that's what I think he could be doing here as well. But Arteta doesn't seem to look that way, obviously. He buys a center back to play as a left back. Give me Alonso. Dude, he's going to Real Madrid. Calafiori is good, just ain't that strong physically and is bad at one. Exactly. And that's why as a center back, in 3 at the back formation, he actually was decent because he had a left wing back to cover his ass just in case, and he had another center back to help him out. If he's out at left back, which he hasn't played for the last 3 years, he's playing left back for the first time at Arsenal since 21-22 season, if I'm not mistaken. And he's left there alone, because Gabriel cannot overcommit to help him. That's why Martinelli from the left wing spot is doing Usain Bolt and sprinting like the Olympic sprinter backwards to cover his ass. Let's be real. So Calafiori in one-on-one is not it. Because trying to defend against a winger, in terms of if you try to defend against a midfielder or a striker, is completely 2 different things. And Calafiori is just not cut out to being a left back. He's a center back. Well, but that is the case. But it is what it is. That's how it goes. That's how it rolls. That's what it feels like, and that's how it looks like on the pitch as well. He gets cooked predominantly by every winger in the league, and we haven't seen him as a center back. But when I watched him 2 games as a center back for Bologna and obviously in Italy, he was actually very good as a center back. So what was the reasoning for Arteta to sign a center back just to put him out as a left back? That is a big issue. He is signing athletes in the team, not technically gifted wizards, if that makes any sense. It sounds very weird in this comparison, but he's just signing athletes who have some strong bodies in the team. Yet he doesn't sign the technical ability strong players, which at the moment for us is basically paying the price. We are paying the price because our team is very overpopulated with very physical players and athletes. We don't have technical ability in the team to get us out from very tight spots. And given the way Arsenal play, and we predominantly play in tight spots, when everyone's on the edge of the box in a mid-low block and we are camping on the edge of the box, we need the technical ability to dribble through 2-3 players. And let's be real, pretty much nobody on our team has the ability to do so. And that again is on Mikel Arteta for signing athletes instead of technically gifted players. We don't have those enough in the team. How comes we are more excited to see Ranieri play than any pretty much other our marquee signing we have signed over the last years? We are more excited to see Ranieri than Odegaard, Havertz, Jesus, Martinelli, Trossard, Rice, Partey, whoever we have on the pitch. We are more excited to watch Ranieri play because he is still direct. He has technical ability. He takes on opponents, and he's very exciting to watch. Yesterday, in under 16 game in FA Youth Cup, Arsenal played Man United. We lost 3-2 to them, right? But I was watching how Max Daumann looked. Oh my God. He looks better than Odegaard overall. I have never seen Odegaard play that good. He has very quick pace. He has very good first touch, great passing ability, very decent shot on him, and he can go as number 10 or right wing when he drifts out. He has very good first touch and very good skill to dribble past the defenders. He looked fantastic yesterday. And the only way United defenders could have stopped him was with a foul. There was no other way they stopped him. They consistently and constantly were fouling him. It was quite fantastic to look, very refreshing to look at, because he is a 15-year-old playing in under 18 team and showing everyone up. He was the best player on the pitch. Unfortunately, Arsenal lost, of course, but he was the best player on the pitch by a mile in that game. And he's only 15, just turned 15. And he's playing in an age group that is 2-3 years above him. And the worst part is, that scares me the most, he will get promoted into the main team whilst Arteta is still here. And just like Arteta coached out this freedom, this technical ability, this slalom type dribbling from Saka, he's going to do that to Ranieri, and eventually he might do that to Daumann. And I don't want to see that. I want to see players expressing themselves, showing their ability, showing their good sides, showing their strengths, not basically make them a system player. And that is one of the biggest reasons why I want Arteta out. Disgraceful, absolute disgrace. We should have signed Madison. Could have. He would be banging, assisting left, right, and proper 10. Daumann, yeah. We have Sago Jr., Kabi Oyedeji, my Jamaican brother, Kanyan Edward, Jimmy Gomer, Saleh Dean. We have quite a bit young talent. And the interesting part is, most of the young talent I watch play when I have a chance, they look better than the main squad. Many of them. Daumann, Miles, Bird, and Odegaard by far. Only if he had a year older, then we could... we would find Newcastle. He would actually be the difference potentially. Next year we actually can register him to the main squad potentially, because because he cannot play in Premier League because he was 14 and he got registered to under 18s. We were not, I think, physically available even to register him to the main squad. So next year we can actually do that. It's not a wonder that he's already training with Arsenal's main team already for the last 3 months, if I'm not mistaken, even 4 maybe. He's already being integrated slowly but steadily into the main team. It's not a coincidence. At some point, he's gonna come up. At some point, he's gonna come up. So yeah, it's a very, very interestingly weird one and tough one. But yeah, I guess it is what it is in that regard. But yeah, Max Daumann, he looked phenomenal yesterday. Are better than most of our fucking team, man. That is the thing. Like, it's actually kind of nuts. It's nuts that our youngsters look much... But that is a big issue for me. Because that's why I want a proper manager, proper coach in the team, that when these youngsters get promoted, the coach doesn't take away their abilities. Doesn't take away their uniqueness that makes them special. Because currently, Arteta has coached out every single unique trait any of our players have had. He has made them strongly just the system players. There is no freedom, no chances, no abilities to basically put themselves on a display and showcase who they actually are. And that is a big issue for me. You don't see Ancelotti do that to any of his players. You don't see Inzaghi, Simeone, any of the managers pretty much. Not allowing their players to express themselves. Dude, they were doing backheel passes in under 18s. I saw in Monaco as well, Biereth was giving backheel passes. La Liga. La Liga 2, by the way. If you want to watch some proper football, go watch La Liga 2. They play much more exciting football than Arsenal has ever played this season. There's some fantastic ballers in that league as well, and that's Spanish second division only. But anyways, I think on that note, I'm gonna end today's stream. Been yapping too much, I guess. But yeah, if you haven't already, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new around here. Leave your thoughts down in comments below. Take care, stay safe, have a nice evening. See you all tomorrow and see... and then we're gonna see what we're gonna talk about. Bro, Verts, Hendrik, Yamal, all under 21s are better than the most of... Exactly. Because the coaches, look who are their coaches. Verts, Jabi Alonso, he knows the necessity of players allowing to express themselves. Hendrik, Real Madrid, allowed by Ancelotti to be himself. He just has to be patient, but he is allowed to be himself. Yamal as well. Flick is not coaching out his abilities out of him. Xavi didn't do that to him. And also in Spanish national team, De La Fuente is not doing that to him because they know who these players are. They see them. They see what they want to be, how they could be fantastic, what makes them separate, what puts them, to some extent, level above the most of the players. And they don't want to take away that from them. Unfortunately, Arteta sees it in a different way. He sees the straight opposite. It makes them much worse if you allow them to express themselves. That's the sad part. But anyways, I think on that note, I'm gonna end today's stream. Big up Marlon, big up Kwame, big up Mike, big up everyone who joined, commented, subscribed, liked, and everything. Take care, have a safe evening, have a nice time, and see you all tomorrow.